Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, sprint zone time, prospect 7-5, and we've got a nice lively crew today. See Tony there in the blue, we got Marcelo directly behind me, got Dean coming off the front, so I'm up front now, and there's no cars back there, so life is good at the moment. Looking ahead, we see there's a little bit of road construction signs. Looking back, and everyone is doing well. Now, there's a car back here, and we're controlling the lane because there's some rough pavement up here, and we're getting ready to stop. So this was really good. Um, After the fact that we have controlled the lane, I'm gonna rant here for a little bit and stop this video. Okay, what the shit, guys? There's plenty of lane here, plenty of shoulder for us to be in. Maybe we should be controlling the lane, but take a look of how many of you have embraced the entitlement of cyclists and are out in the road when I don't believe you have to be. A foot in, not so bad. Further out, I don't really get that at this point when there's plenty of shoulder here. There's people have gotten way too comfortable doing this. I don't think it's cool. Um, Enough of my ranting on that one. Regardless, it's time for the sprint zone to begin, and it's going to be a lively one. Dean comes up and he politely asks, "Is it go time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can go." So we're following Dean, and he takes off pretty hard. Looking at my wattage, 260 watts, just to kind of keep him in check. The rules of engagement have stated, wait a little bit. So what's this wonky move Dean makes to the right there? That little, like, whatever. That kind of like skeeved me out a little bit. Like, what are you avoiding here? My general take is take a straight line if you can. It's predictable. But enough of that. I'm on Dean's wheel, and everyone now is properly close enough to the shoulder where it's not a problem. Marcelo looking strong, has got a good wheel there, looking nice and aerodynamic. See James Stevens there, nicely tucked in on the white line to the right. Very nice. Up front, looks like I've caught Dean and I'm just sitting on his wheel. But still, the wattage is good. Look, 300 watts, 370, like just sitting in here. And this is like the old days when people would go super hard before the corner was deemed to be, well, a little too sketchy given the way people were like leaning across the yellow line, etc. So we haven't been hitting that too hard. Regardless, everyone's still in tow. I can see Ian out there in the middle of the road. You see Tony, nice little echelon there. We got James Stevens, who's coming off a vacation, coming up on the right, looking really strong, with Justin in tow, not wanting to be left behind because with those corners and the lack of cohesiveness when going around that corner, it can get strung out. And if there's strongmen up front, it can be game over. Dean's still up front. And the wattage is off a little bit because now we are descending into that corner. Or it's not much of a grade anyhow, probably flat. Looking at my wattage, 120, 150 watts, nothing here. Dean's looking pretty strong, and he hasn't been out for a while, so it'll be good to see, what he's got here. I was very curious at the time. He's been off doing a lot of half Ironman with some success with his very successful and talented wife, Diana. Shout out to Diana. Peace. Join us sometime. So everyone looking good around the corner. Rules of engagement were held, and the pack is pretty tight. I let Dean get a little bit of a gap because he went around there a little harder than I think I wanted to, and I figure Dean's gonna die because he always does this. He goes really hard and then he spits out. So there's no reason to use this unless it's going to be a springboard for somebody. And I don't have enough strength myself to use this as a launching pad. So we're bringing him back slowly. You can see my wattage is definitely strong and it's keeping him in check. High 200s, 300s. Looking back, everybody's there. Slight little echelon for the smart people. Mr. Stevens out there pushing some wind, but he's got the horsepower making this corner. And it's around this point I decided I'm not going to tow everybody up to Dean. Well, maybe I did, but I want to back off a little bit as I did. So Marcelo comes through very nicely, and we've caught Dean. And at this point, I'm worried about getting scraped off the back here because Dean just basically sits up. If this would have been the week before and Hernan had done that, I would not have made the train. So I'm telling Dean, you got to pedal when you get up here. So I'm lucky to try to get on the back. Look at the wattage I have to pull just to try to make it on the back of this train. 300 watts, 400 watts, 500, 580 watts right here. This would have been game over. So just a word of the wise. Yeah. But I had good legs today, so I didn't really care that much. There goes Rob Baum looking strong. We got Carlos behind me, unable to grab my wheel. We got Byron back there counseling Carlos. Thank you, Byron, helping out my teammate there. That's really cool. If you want to join old school, think about it. There goes Ian, a little too hot for him. And we got Jason, one of Matthew Michael's friends, who decided to join us for a couple of rides, looking very strong. We got Michael being popped off. We got Scott fading back. I guess that it's a little too hot up there for them, and the draft is a lot better in the arrears. So there's good trading off up front. Tony comes off, and in my opinion, Tony comes off on the wrong side. It's a slight echelon from the right shoulder out. And so coming off this side, this is how Ilka crashed at one point because somebody pulled off to the wrong side. Now, okay, it's not that strong of an echelon here, so it's probably okay. But in general, I want predictability. I like predictability. I like to make it easy. And it looks like at this point it worked out okay. And the selection has been made. Is it a wrong thing to do? In races it happens all the time. If it was a stronger echelon, it would have been totally a no-no. So we got Scott looking strong here. Justin looking super comfortable, just taking some water, settling back, getting an idea, lay of the land. Jason up front looking around as if he wants to make certain people on his wheel. Jason pulls off to the left also, following suit probably with Tony. Yeah. But because of that, see how we're echeloned out here? And see how he's got to keep looking back because he's going to run into people. Better to have pulled off on the right side. Uh, Anyway, that would have been my preference. So it's a selection that has been made here at this point. Maybe people pulled a little too hard up front. I'm trying to see if Jason's going to be able to get back on. But right now, people are just a ramming and a thumping. And I can see in the distance the thing that's been happening recently is that Superman, aka Byron, is back there. And he's going to drag a whole gaggle of people back up to the selection. This just shows how strong he really is. And today he was not on the gravel bike, so this is not going to be much of a challenge for him. And even me out here, I'm pushing like 230 watts or so. Not killer watts, but it's good for this distance. It's good for me. People are just hanging on here, and maybe I'm pulling too long, but my legs are good. So I'm coming off here. Notice how I come off on the right side. Yeah. Slight echelon, I can drift back, don't have to worry about people on my way, and I can come in and slingshot right to the back like I'm supposed to. So some people will think, hey Steve, you're being a little too pedantic here, but hey, it's my video, I can say what I want, and I just did. So, Scott looking pretty strong up front, he's recovered. He did not follow my lead coming off to the right. Another mistake, in my opinion. But hey, I'm calling out mistakes today because I got to call out something because it's about safety. And you notice that, right? You see the echelon, how he has to worry about the echelon running into him. He could have been pushed easily wide, but it definitely forces people that were in the echelon out of it. But as you see, Superman with those red shoes has caught us. I'm like, damn. And he's brought with him Danger Man. I see James Stevens back there. So this is going to be only the beginning of the start of a new selection. At this point, I didn't know who he had brought up, but you never know. At this point, I had seen James come through on the right, going hard. I was like, oh man, despite the fact he had been on vacation, famous last words. So, there we go. Life is good. James at the front, pushing hard. I get a little respite because we just crested that little bit of a hill, and I've got a nice position in third. Justin's riding super strong. I'll make a slight comment about that jersey. Notice that flapping right at the top of, behind his neck? That's Watts being butt off, and that's why a lot of the aero helmets cover that area. So, not bad. Justin's strong. Tighter jersey wouldn't help. 5 watts or so, maybe right there. And here we go. The big man, Superman, going to the front and now making things hard. Marcelo in tow. He did not make the original selection, but was strong enough. And Scott has recovered from the dead. Tony back there struggling to hang on. Car makes a nice pass and gives us plenty of room. I like that. Notice the slight echelon. Notice what I'm talking about here. And Scott he falls off now. We talked about this. He almost overlapped wheels with people, and I was like, whoa! It didn't look like much on this video, but maybe he's ready to pop at that point. Regardless, he's gone. There's James, and we got Justin back there. Slight little echelon, and everybody is ramming and a thumping, and the final selection has been made. Byron is pulling so strong here, and I can see that at this point he was giving encouragement to Marcel, just hang in there, just hang in there. And I'm hearing the voice of Tom Cruise, stay on my wing, stay on my wing. And at this point, he's struggling a little bit, and I'm making certain that I'm in a position that I don't want to be gapped off. But it looks like he was able to dig down and stay with Byron. Final selection: Super Strongman, Men of the Sword, Men of the TTH, and myself still in here. And here we go, the final push. James goes hard. I thought about going hard. As you see, 380 watts is what I hit there, but I was like, too much wind out there, and Byron easily pushes forward to take that one. Well done, folks. Well done. That was a lot of fun. For once, I had good legs, made the selection, and the crew that I made it to the end with, I am pleased with at that point. I didn't even have the aero bike today. I had the old Fuji just because that Fuji is so much smoother than that blue. I put it together because I wanted to be able to ride Risk Canyon, and I was descending on that blue, and in the wind, that aero bike gets pushed around like a sail. Scares the crap out of me, so I was riding the old Fuji. It's not as fast, but man, is it smooth and comfortable. So I enjoyed that one. Anyway, everybody, a good time was had by all. Can't wait to do it again, and party on. Till next time, peace out.